9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome back to this episode of 49 Faithfullee. We're your hosts, Miriah and Melissa. And
Hi,
we're
everybody.
here after the 49ers just kicked Seattle Seahawks ass 21-13 and sealed NFC West championship. So, yeah, Seahawks are losers, and I'm so glad that we beat them in their own house and that we swept them this year. It just feels so good. They lose their quarterback, and then they feel like Gino's gonna be not writing back all season, but he started his letter to Santa tonight, baby, because he's done. Done. How you feeling? What's up, chat?
I feel like all my dreams came true, and yet I'm so sick I can't even enjoy it properly. But at the same time, I wouldn't trade it away for anything because not only have we had 2 Kittle games this year with 2 touchdowns each in hostile environments, but that they've both been against Arizona and Seattle, and the second being division clinching. It's just like a dream come true. So I couldn't be happier.
Yep, and like Cowboy Angel Bebop says, 7 in a row. Like I remember us getting on live and thinking after a few games this season, like, what the hell is going on? Like we lost our starting quarterback, we're losing the shitty teams, like, oh my God, not this again. And all of a sudden, just like last season, the 49ers turn it around and have won 7 straight. So, man, the defense continues to play lights out. Purdy showed up. He's not turning the ball over. He's getting the ball to the playmakers and playing mistake-free football. So that's all that we could ask, and yeah, Seattle looked lost most of the freaking time. Their offense was, man, their defense after plays that you see, like one play, the corners, like they're slamming his hands and shit on the ground, like they're throwing tantrums. Like, man, what's his face? What's it? Tarvarius Ward and DK Metcalf going at it all game. Like,
Did you see how much Cross lost his shit when he can no longer pick on Bosa and he had to go face, what was it, Sosa on the opposite side? Like, I love that D'Amico was like, you know what, I'm not going to give any more penalties or takeaways or anything away. You're going to face somebody else on this line and you're going to like it and take it as is. And, it's going to probably go away. And no one's going to remember this at the end of the day, but I want to give a shout out to DeAndre Lenore, who got an amazing pick that got taken away on a Bosa penalty.
yeah.
And it's just, it's amazing that after all the trials and tribulations that we've gone through this year, that these guys have not only stepped up, but they're completely balling out. And while I was fighting with someone on Twitter, I was remembering something. In the past, if we had another 3 quarterback season, we would all be like praying for 6 and whatever, right? Like that would have been a successful year because we're down to our 3rd quarterback. We have injuries. There's like no hope for the year. We're not even going to make the playoffs or make 500. And it's crazy now how much hope we have with Brock Purdy. And now there's this like hope in Faithful that I haven't seen in a really long time. It's amazing how far Kyle Shanahan and this team have pulled together, and they just won't let anything deter them this year from their goals.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's crazy that we're doing this with our 3rd string quarterback. Like, I can't freaking believe it.
For the 4th
Shout out
time.
to Eric for actually showing up after his team loses.
Hey, how's it been doing tonight?
Hey, Eric,
Hello.
what's up?
I just want to congratulate you all again on a great season.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you showing up after a loss to a 49er stream. Like, that's awesome of you.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh, no problem. So who do y'all play next?
The Commanders on Christmas Eve.
Ooh.
Yep. I think that's the only game I'm a little, if I'm worried about any of our next games, to close out the season, that's the only one.
I'm a little worried about Scary Terry just because every time you feel like he's not going to do something, he comes in at the end of the game. But aside from Scary Terry, I think that game will be okay. I'm not scared of the Raiders, and I'm definitely not scared of the Cardinals now with Kyler gone for the year.
Yep. What's up, Mike?
Hi, Mike.
What's up? I'm amped. I should be going to bed because I got to get up in the morning, but I can't. Just can't do it right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was kind of worried just because our track record with going into Seattle and, the history and all that. But, I mean, and the noise, especially the noise, with Purdy being, so new and everything. But, man, he handled it great.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was concerned about for him was how could he handle that noise?
Yep. And it seems like, except for one call there, I think when we were backed up, when they had us backed up in our own end zone, you could tell he was trying to get the call. The line was all screwed up and we had to waste a time out there. I think that's the only time that I can remember just offhand that the noise seemed to get to him at all.
That's probably the most nervous I've been with us being up 21-6 ever. Just like, come on, close it out.
That means that we've been scarred by Seattle Seahawks too often to ever feel comfortable, but that makes this, and I hate saying this as a Jay Greenlaw fan, but this makes this win a little bit more sweeter because it didn't come down to the last play with all of us pulling at our hair, hoping that judges don't screw us over with the Jacob Hollister non-touchdown. So I think today beat 2019's championship win up there, but that's just me.
Yeah, I couldn't handle a game like that, man. I'm already going gray. I don't need this team to be stressing me out even more.
I think if they get that close to another game like that, the entire Northeast or the entire north of all of America would have heard John from Ohio screaming about another night nail biter in Seattle.
It might have heard me too. I get pretty loud. I'm a quiet, normal person, but I've definitely made my Apple Watch tell me that I'm over 100 decibels from screaming.
That's funny. And yeah, that's crazy. Since 2011, this is the first time we've swept the Seahawks. Man, that shows you what a pain in the ass they've been.
Very much so. What about that Jordan Mason running out of gas at the end of the game when he was running that ball? I was screaming. I'm like, come on, get in there.
I know. I wanted him to score so bad. I felt so bad for him to get short.
I actually felt like that was I don't know if you guys watched their games or not, but that felt like the Ravens-Giants game about 2 months ago, where Saquon Barkley ran it all the way to the end zone, and then he stopped right before the line to cross and to get a touchdown, and he just let the ball clock run out to never even give them an opportunity to score again. And that's what it felt like to me. It felt like that was a planned thing for Jordan in case he ever got close to just give it up so that way he can't get the ball back.
Makes sense. You would think you would have slid, though, instead of going out of bounds so that the clock kept running.
I don't know. I felt like that's how it was. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way, I'm glad that he got to have a moment to shine right there at the end.
I still am so pissed that it took so long for him to get into the freaking game. Fuck, it's so annoying.
Yeah. I was calling for him for a while. I was like, we need to put him in and just keep running it with him.
I don't understand why Christian McCaffrey is playing so predominantly in the first 3 quarters and then into the fourth quarter and getting banged up, and we keep risking losing this other multifaceted wide receiver running back after losing Debo. Like, wouldn't you think that they take it a little easier with CMC?
I would have thought so. Because I think I had wrote down it was 8 minutes left. It's 21-6 at that time. And they were still running CMC in there. And we had seen like Mason the one time up until that point. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me.
Yeah, I think he ran out like twice before that, before he finally got it at the end.
It's crazy.
I also felt like special teams really missed Samuel Womack tonight. So there's a lot of like big returns on that special teams unit.
Yeah, I was thinking that the whole time, like, what's up with special teams? And I totally forgot about Womack. So yeah, that's a good point.
Womack and Moore are both out this game.
Yeah. Enter your numbers, everybody that hasn't seen yet. What's up, chat? I see you all. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for celebrating the
the
win
chat.
with Miriah. Hi, John.
Yeah. He's playing hooky from the stream, yet he's in the chat. I tell you. Even Melissa showed up and she's sick. Like, how dare you?
I did not make her say that, John.
How dare. Yeah, Swan too. He's another one. How dare you? You don't
You just
show up
want
to the
all your
stream.
card goodies, that's why.
Hey Jerry, good to see you.
Is Joel in the chat?
I think I seen him earlier. What's up, Joel?
Well, if Joel is in the chat, congratulations once again, Joel, for your successful transplant. We're very
Be
happy
careful
for you.
what you wish for.
Oh boy.
I saw.
I saw
That came out of nowhere.
Come on, you knew she called them both out. One of them would have
I was
if not
checking to
both.
see. I wasn't sure. I was like, I thought she was having a live stream.
Here, Tony has a good question. Who is your player of the game?
Oh. I have to have one player. I'm going George Kittle.
I'm gonna go for the level of difficulty. I'm gonna go with Mooney Ward.
Greenlaw?
That's who I was gonna go, damn it. All right,
let's
I'm
go.
going Brock Purdy. Making me do it.
I mean, you can always give the game ball to what's called Bosa as well because he played as good as anyone. But I like what Mooney Ward did because he had the toughest assignment and he was pretty much shutting that dude down. Kittle, Kittle was good, but I mean, he's wide open on both of those plays, right? Like he's absolutely wide open. I mean, he got some good yak, which is good. But yeah. And then Greenlaw was amazing. He was freaking there all game.
I'd also have to give a prop ball to someone who I'm not a huge fan of, but he was really essential on a lot of group tackles or cleaning up tackles, and that was Jimmy Ward. He had a really instrumental game early in the game.
He set up that fumble hit from Greenlaw. Like he made a good stop, and then Greenlaw just freaking annihilated that guy. Made him fumble the ball.
What's up, JD?
See, I knew it. As soon as you call him out, here.
This is all I gotta say, fam. We're not done yet. This is not enough.
He had to go.
Seattle got lucky too. That could have easily. Sorry, what was that?
No, I was just saying he was too busy digging up that field in the background. That's what took him so long.
Yeah.
What's up,
Niners-
Buck? I see you, bro.
What's up, John?
What's up, B?
Oh man, guys, this feels good, right? We won the West. Last time we did this, we went to the Super Bowl, fam.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, it's cool because the team doesn't have to be like week 15 was pretty much the playoffs for them last year. Was it week 16 was the playoffs for them, right? Because they had to win the Houston game, they had to win the Rams game, and then so at least this time they get a little bit of a break. That leads me to a question. What do you guys think about this? Okay, so it's obvious that we can catch Minnesota, right? I don't think we're going to catch the Eagles unless something crazy happens, right? Like I just don't see that. So is the second seed worth it, or do you think the 49ers should, I'm not saying give up games, but any people with questionable health, right? You just let them rest, right? But I don't know if it's good practice to play that way.
I don't think you can do that because some of your most injured players, right, like a Brock Purdy who has the oblique ribs injury, need the reps.
Yeah, but you're also going to give up home field advantage to another team. You don't want to go into a hostile environment. With Brock Purdy. Not that he hasn't. You fight for it, right? I mean, you fight for it. I think Brock has proved that he can play the game. I feel like I say this every week, though. I feel like we all say this every week. At least some of us are like, I'm not sure that I've seen enough yet. And the kid goes out there and throws dimes. Not sure I've seen enough yet. And then he just, you know what I mean? Like he just helped us win the division.
I also think that it's foolish to sit more than like maybe 2-3 key guys, because in years past, when you feel like you've seen teams sit multiple people like the Ravens do or whatever, where you see the majority of the players sit in 2019 when they were 14-2, they no show in the playoffs. They're like so rusty and they just have no momentum going to the playoffs. So I think you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So I'd rather them play together and watch each other's back and, pull them early if possible in these games. But I'd rather them be out there and working as a team than have them all sit on the sidelines for like a month and then hoping they can all take off when it comes to wild card week.
Yeah, and the Niners have been actually pretty conservative this year. This whole season, they've been conservative as far as like not rushing players back. Like I've noticed that, it's like if they think that, the guy could further injure himself, they won't play him, right? Outside of maybe Debo coming back, which I didn't think he was going to come back that one game a few weeks back. And then, he actually came back. But they've been pretty good about that. So I think unless the play, like they have the I'm not saying to rest people. I'm just saying people now that are like, if they can re-injure something, they don't have to totally worry about it and be like, okay, you're getting on the field no matter what, because we're playing for our lives. You know what I mean? So at least they have that, that in their back pocket. If they, it's like where it was like week 16 last year. It's like, okay, we can't rest. Everyone's got to play. We can't do, it's the, win or go home.
So then I have to ask you, Swan, would you sit Eric Armstead, someone who has been majoritively unavailable this year?
No, unless it was his planner was acting up again. But if they say, you know what, he's good, and he's not going to further jeopardize re-injuring that, then I'm good with that. But if they say, well, you know what, the rest will actually do him good, I wouldn't mind leaving Eric Armstead out, because he's been out the whole year and they've been, getting by. I mean, right now it's not great timing because we're short DTs, but Kinlaw's supposedly coming back. They don't need to rush him now, which is good. But if he's ready to come back, bring him back, right? If he's ready to come back, bring him back. But they definitely don't need to rush him. And And what's it called? T.Y. McGill or whatever? He had a solid game today. Like I saw him put pressure. Like on 2 plays, I saw him put pressure. So
that's the Kaseric effect.
Yeah, the cassette. So I wouldn't mind. Like if the doctors came back and Kyle said, you know what, we're gonna rest Armstead because his planner's acting up, or he can get better, then I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't be mad at all with that, because think about it, our next 3 opponents, right? Who is really scared? Okay, Washington has a great D, right? They're gonna have Chase Young back too, so that should be interesting. I'm not sure how well they do against stopping the run. I'm not too sure about that, and then we have the Raiders. Raiders are a weird team because
they're dog shit.
Yeah, they're dog crap, but they're also a team that could show up. You know what I mean? They're also a team that could
maybe for a few plays.
And then we have and then the Cardinals are a dumpster fire, right?
Okay, so to answer your first question, Commanders is going to be interesting because they just played the Giants, then they went on a bye. Now Chase Young may play. We don't know how much, but they're playing the Giants again on Sunday Night Football.
That's a huge game.
So that's twice in 3 weeks. The thing about them is they're good against the run because they shut down Philly and they were the one team to beat Philadelphia this year. But a lot of those games were all divisional games, showed up a lot. So the real question is, can our corners shut down their offensive wide receivers and take care of Brian Robinson? And I think we have the guys inside to take care of Brian Robinson, their running back. The question is, can we cut down the impact of Scary Terry, Diami Brown, Curtis Daniel, and I think it's Dobson, the fourth guy?
Yeah, the rookie.
Could be wrong about that.
Dobson,
And then as for the Raiders, I agree with you that they show up when they choose to. And I think the Battle of the Bay still matters to them, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's as scary as it was at the beginning of the year where we all felt like New Year's, that's going to be like a deadly game, So to end the year, I think we're going to be okay.
I'm terrified of the Commanders. I'm not scared of Devontae Adams with Derek Carr's busted ass. He's so shit. I'm not even worried about him. He'll throw. We'll make up all the picks of the season against Vegas, in my opinion. I do want Huff to get his shit together on his coverages that he falls apart on. But I'm not mad at him. Because there's got to be more to those broken plays, right?
On the broadcast,
on Huff. It can't just be on him.
On the broadcast, they were saying that it might have been the linebacker. It might have been Warner that did the wrong thing.
Fred blitzed, so there was nobody there in the flat to chase him down. So I guess Huff needed to choose, Tyler Lockett or Noah Fant. And in my opinion, if you're looking at Geno, I mean, the throw's going to be to the center of the end zone, right? I mean, he threw it like I just think that Huff should have taken Fant, and then so be it. Like, if Geno wanted to go to Lockett, then air it out. Maybe you overthrow him. Maybe you throw it short. Maybe he doesn't even catch it. But to throw a rocket right there to the center of the end zone, I'm taking Noah Fant. I mean, I'm going that direction. So it's all good. Like, I'm not worried about it. I don't think that coverage is going to really. I'm not going to sweat that coverage, that blown coverage. But I do have concerns about that in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, it happened last week too. We just got bailed out.
It's happened 3 or 4 times now. So I mean, and they typically happen early in the game. So like, you know, he compensates for that. But I was really happy to see Huff do one thing that I was really, really, really hoping for, and he had the right angle on his blitz, and he got to Geno, and it was awesome.
Yeah, Seattle got so lucky. They recovered that ball. So lucky. And this game could have been like 30-something to 6, you know, because they got lucky on the freaking roughing the passer call. You know, Demo was killed. Like he had his end zone touchdown there. Got lucky on the Geno fumble. They got lucky. They stopped Mason at the
was
one.
Missing. You could see Debo's presence.
Diamador Lenore, he was talking about the pick 6.
Yeah, the pick 6. Yeah, he that sucks. That sucks for him.
Yeah,
but yeah, I was really impressed how Ward locked down Metcalf, dude. He locked his ass down. Had 2 pass breakups.
Yeah, but I think Metcalf is the last few times we played them, like he's not been an issue.
he's a big old baby.
He is a big old baby. I think he has like 60-some yards. I think he has 60 yards versus us.
Yeah, he had Ward week 1, and then Mosley. Ward and Mosley, a combo of Ward and Mosley week 1, and then last year's probably Mosley.
Mosley locked him down. But that being said, I wasn't really ever sweating Metcalf. He's a big baby for sure.
And then Lockett, how it had what, 2 catches, maybe 3.
They peppered that dude. I mean, that was whatever. I just, it pisses me off that they got that touchdown. But it is what it is. I don't care.
The running game wasn't that great today. I don't think.
Why didn't we try to punch it in? Why didn't we let Mason get a touchdown? I don't understand.
I think it's you don't want to risk an injury, right, when the game's over.
And that's like a gentleman agreement. Like
you fucking risk CMC. You risk CMC the entire game.
No, I'm just saying,
they're like try to run a few yards from.
So they have a goal line. Yeah, they have a goal line thing. You never know, right? It's at that point you won the game. What's the point, right? Like they were even saying that Mason. The announcers are saying Mason, if you wanted to end the game, he was just gone down, you know, before trying to get the touchdown. I wanted him to get the touchdown, though. I was like, get the touchdown. But right when he stopped, I was like, damn it. They're just going to kneel it now. Damn it.
I was salty. I wanted him to score. Fuck it.
I wanted him to, but I understand why they did it. I understand why they did it.
I mean, I am too, but I'm petty, and I just wanted it.
Dude, awesome.
I wanted that fucking touchdown.
While he was running, I definitely wanted it.
It was so funny because I went on to the.
I wanted it afterwards, Mike. I wanted it right after, bro. I'm like, dude, you know what? He got stuffed twice. The guy was like, I'm gonna get this, man, and he broke it, and he earned it, man. Just let him have it. Damn.
I went to Seattle Reddit right after we won just to see their tears, right? And then one guy posted, "Oh, I thought that was really classy what the Niners did by kneeling down on at the one, right?" And I was like, man, I was gonna reply, but I didn't. I was like, dude, they're not being classy. They just don't want to get anyone more hurt. Anyone hurt? They would if they wanted to. I mean, they don't care about you guys at all.
How we walked away with what? Just Ibukum had an ankle, right?
As far as I know, yeah, because Ward's thing was he was concussion protocol, and he passed it. So, I mean, Ibukam has an ankle every week. Like he's been limping since like week 4.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy Ward, Travarius Ward.
Travarius Ward. Travarius Ward was out of the game for like half of the 4th quarter, but he went into the tent. They cleared him for concussion protocol, but they just left him out because we had handily was winning the game.
Well, that's 1-on-1.
Ryan, I see you, man. Fernando, I see you, bro.
Where did I win? Where did I win?
You win this George Kittle over San Francisco, numbered 1 of 1275.
Hold on a goddamn minute. Are you trying to tell me that we could put our numbers in even though we're on screen?
Yes.
Son of a bitch. I missed out. Oh my God.
I don't know if mine's zoomed
We
in
were
or not,
just
but I can't
talking
even
about
see
how
the
we wanted John to
spot
be
do it.
back to his OG ways to beat the original sweeper of the Miriah sweepstakes with these
Oh my
cards of
God. Last
Funkos
night,
again.
dude, listen, last night I wanted to, I was in the chat briefly and I was like, okay, it's cool. Like, I'm going to boil out my fryers. I'm going to listen to TL and Miriah, and I'm just going to rock out with the fam, just clean my fryers and do my thing. I set a date where I get deep clean because I get like, I'm OCD. So anyway, I fucking put the solution in to boil them. And I walked away and I was listening to you guys and I was like trying to put in my number. And I hear one of my dishwashers go, John, we have a mess. I turned around. There was at least 5 gallons of solution that boiled out of my fryer all over my kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
I grabbed the mop and I just cried. I almost just left.
Hey, John, what type of restaurant do you own?
I know.
I have a traditional diner. Like a one of those diners that you see everywhere in town, like cities and stuff. I have one of my own. Well, I took over from my father when he passed.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good time.
What is like the dishes?
I know you
like,
want your attention.
I don't know what.
No.
Like when you say diner, it's more than just hamburgers and fries, right? Is that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's more of like it's like a family style. Like it's just like traditional foods, like homemade meatloafs and
nice.
turkey
I get
dinners and
I
good sauce. So lots of pasta, bunch of burgers, daily specials, homemade soups, gravies, whatnot.
Is everything
pies.
okay at the? Is everything okay at the restaurant?
I mean, if you want to work, you come to work. If you don't, you piss me off.
No, I meant with your flood, which you just brought up.
Oh yeah. I had to get the mop out, and I had to just mop it up. It actually cleaned the floor really nice. Like it like shined the floor because it like really cleans. It's like a degreaser. It was a bitch, but it worked out in the end. And
my parents owned a restaurant for about 6 years. And it sucked the living soul out of everyone in the family. It wasn't a very successful restaurant though. It's like my mom was still working 16-hour days as a registered nurse, and then my dad would run the restaurant, and she would go to the restaurant as well. My sister would help me. I was in like high school at the time, so I didn't do shit other than wash dishes. Sometimes I used to just go there, eat, sometimes wash the dishes, do my homework, and then go back in the car and just go to sleep until my parents were ready to take me home. But like they never had time off. Like, how do you?
Trust me, bro. I think about leaving some stuff on and leaving and closing the doors, and what happens will happen. Sometimes I'm like, oops, I dropped the match.
How do you do you have anyone that you trust to run the register, run the restaurant, like when you want to go on a vacation?
No. I don't. If I'm going to go on vacation, then everybody can go on vacation. I'm not letting anybody fuck it up. You can ruin a business in a week. I honestly, we've owned it for like 30 plus years. We have some really great people that have been with us for probably 20 plus, and they are responsible and great people and good, but they deserve it too. So if I'm going to leave,
that's cool.
That's take awesome. A vacation. I give everybody a heads up. We'll get out of here. But that's it. You know what I mean? Like it's COVID kind of like scared me because everything was like takeout only, and like we were struggling, and we've been closed on Mondays for like 25 years just because we needed a day off because Sundays were a great day, a great day. So we couldn't close Sunday, so we had to close Monday. And then COVID struck and everything was kind of crazy and costs were up and people weren't working and nobody wanted to do anything because they're getting money. And then I had a lot of great employees that were just like, you know what? I'll come and work if you want. I'm like, yeah, come and work, please.
That's dope.
Keep my head above water with this fucking snorkel. And they did. And I gave everybody an extra day off. So we had Mondays and Tuesdays back to back off. And now I've just kept it that way because everybody likes it. So we just Wednesday through Sunday. And that's it, man. 2 days back to back, 2 weekdays. So like they can like actually do shit. Go to the doctors, take care of stuff, go to the bank, and fuck off and do whatever you want to do. But anyway, that's really it.
Is there a TV on Sundays? Can customers watch games?
I mean, no, because you can't turn over tables. If people start lingering, then the waitresses don't turn over tables.
Sense.
Like you don't want to do that shit.
Right.
You don't want to do that shit. But I have one in the kitchen, like on the wall, and then I have one that I take out of my trunk and I put it right on my desk and I sit about a foot from it. And I scream and yell.
All your workers.
And then I join Miriah afterwards, like right beside my modem between the hallway where my cooler is.
All your employees are like, fucking, dude, the Niners better fucking win. They better fucking win or he's going to be pissed off.
They love my Niners. Dude, they're all like, so like we're so close to like the Pennsylvania border that they're all Steeler fans, right? So like they don't have a dog in the fight. So they're like, fuck yeah, the 49ers are so fun to watch. And like a lot of people really do believe our team is really fun to watch. Like we are creative finally, right? I mean, the Niners have gotten creative with CMC. And then you throw in, BCB in the mix and he makes it even more fun. This dude faked right, faked left, hit George down the middle. Like I was so happy. I don't even know how to tell you. It was just pretty awesome. And then I was driving home and I'm trying to watch it tonight. Like I caught the second quarter, but I'm like swerving on the highway and I'm like, oh my God. I'm looking at my phone, bro. And I'm like, how come I can't put this goddamn thing on the dashboard? But it was a good time, man. I enjoy it. So let's talk. I want to ask you guys a question.
The best John reaction though will always be the one from the draft with Dre being announced as the pick with you and Deanna on Carl's show though.
Oh my God, I destroyed my office. I wrecked everything. Once I knocked things over, I just turned around and I just smacked other shit. It was so great.
But that wasn't the best part. The best part was like you were like a 5-year-old on Christmas morning getting like
I broke my chair.
Two-seater bicycle, and you were just like jumping for joy.
I was bouncing.
And you were like
screaming.
the living embodiment of the entire Niner faithful that we finally moved on from a Jimmy Garoppolo like quarterback.
But there's something like when I see Trey on the sidelines, like my heart breaks. Like my heart breaks because it just looks like all the hope is like being sucked out of his soul watching this kid succeed, and that just destroys me. Like it bothers me to death. But I have a question. Why the fuck aren't we using Jennings in a? I don't know. Let's just take Debo and put Debo over here and replace Jennings with Debo, right? And run run Jennings the way we run Debo because, dude, Jennings is a dog. Like that dude will run through you. Like he will fight for yards. I've seen him carry like 3 dudes across the third down conversion, right? So like, I want to know like, why aren't we dialing up some runs for Jennings? Like, I think he could do it. I think he could do it in short yard situations. I don't want him to like, break a 40 because he's not that fast. But I mean, he's fast enough.
He's not that fast.
He can do it, Mike. I think he could, man. I really do. If Brock Purdy can win a division championship, Jennings can run a little bit.
I don't see why we don't use him more, even just as a wide receiver. Like it took, Debo being out for us to use Juwan Jennings on other than something besides third down. Like, he's actually getting catches on first down. Like, why can't we do that other times? Like, why does it take Debo being hurt for us to see Juwan Jennings out there? Like, I don't get it.
It took Debo to get hurt to see McLeod get a bunch of touches. Like, I'm freaking out here. We're like the same size dude. Like, you see him bouncing off people and shit. He gets hit. It looks like you got whiplash. The dude bounces off shit like a smart car. He just, boom,
He's fast. That one play where they threw it to him and he ran for the first down, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I have like anxiety that like he's gonna like fumble. You know what I mean?
Who is gonna fumble?
Ray McLeod.
Ray, I feel like he's gonna fumble every single time on special teams. Like
I'm happy with him though. He's been legit.
John, I kid you not. My entire left hand is still red from pinch marks where I had to make myself really believe that it wasn't 80 anymore and it was 3 doing returns. I get that freaking nervous now. Every time I think he's gonna like drop the damn ball.
Danny Gray lined up wrong and then bounced. Shanahan just pulls him like, dude, he pisses Shanahan off like this, and Danny Gray's in the doghouse.
Did you guys notice how many red jerseys were in the bottom stands of Seattle?
I hear there's a pretty big chapter there.
And on a Thursday? Like, that's crazy.
Well, there's a lot of
the division. I'd go too if I were them.
No, I'm not saying people are local. I'm just saying there's probably more than just local people. Like imagine if this was a Sunday game, like there'd be way more Niner jerseys.
Well, there's a huge Seattle chapter, which John alluded to. There's also John Chapman and Wayne Breezy there with the entire Rush Road Trip crew. And I know a lot of people were thinking about coming to this game just because it's Seattle and people want to see Seattle beaten in Seattle. And I believe the first day of events, which was yesterday, for the Rush Road Trip was free. So a lot of people who've seen photos of all the meetups and all the giveaways that Breezy and John have been doing all year long wanted to participate in that. So and that had a lot to do with it being a midweek game and how much red was there. But back to your question about Juwan Jennings, I just think there's this weird thing where they don't want to have to over rely on their depth when it comes to wide receiver. It feels like maybe Miriah, you can explain this better because you're such a huge fan of him. But it felt like the beginning of Brandon Ayuk's career where you saw the flashes, you saw the physicality, you saw how they could easily dominate. They weren't the same player as Debo, but they brought that own special fire that they each have. And I don't know what it will take for Juwan to get the respect of Kyle or whoever's calling the offensive plays, but I feel like it's like Ayuk's situation at the beginning where it took that first meet down where Brandon's like, I'm sick of you trolling me in the press. I'm going to sit you down. We're going to have this out, and then we're going to go from here. And I feel like Juwan's never really going to get a full shot in the offense outside of like third down or clutch situations or overtime or when the offense is stagnant unless somehow, some way, someone sits down somebody and then they have it out again.
The thing is, like, if you're Seattle or an opponent in general, you should probably know that on third down, we're going to Juwan. Like, and you still can't fucking stop it. So it's just like line this dude up behind the line of scrimmage and just do some wide back shit with Juwan. I think he could do it. In short yard circumstances, I do believe he could pull it off.
And he can do it in those really big situations where you need that because he did it against the Bengals in overtime last year. He set up that final goal in the fourth quarter that Robbie missed in Cincinnati. He was instrumental in overtime against the Rams last year in Week 18. So it's a pattern that's been there. It's not like a new thing, but I agree with you. I just it'd be one thing if these guys were inconsistent or didn't show up in big moments, but it's sad when you're overusing the same key guys over and over and over again, and they keep getting injured or re-injured or missing multiple weeks, like a Debo or an Elijah Mitchell. And it's not like in previous years where you didn't have more guys behind them to utilize. And I don't understand why we have to wait until the entire position group is pretty much exhausted before we ever make a change or use the guys that have been sitting there all along waiting for their shot.
I mean, you got to figure, dude, it's tough being Kyle spreading the ball around. Like, he's got to spread the ball around, right? Like, George Kittle needed to be involved in the offense these last few weeks because it was getting pretty stagnant, not seeing him,
but
you know.
John, you saw him. He said he had to go out and say, Jimmy, I'm wide open. And he had to sit him down, show him the plays, and then Jimmy gave him those first 2 touchdowns versus Arizona. Like, that was a thing. Even George
but I
Kittle
just don't think
to,
that he really.
had
I don't
to say
think that
something.
George is really annoyed. I think that George loves Jimmy so much
No,
that he's
no,
never really
Like,
going to express his. If he's
Well,
agitated
John,
with Jim,
he's never going to say it because even to this day, he'll still never say anything bad about Brian Hoyer. To this day, he'll never say one bad word about him. Trent Taylor, CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins, Garrett, Selleck, any of the guys that he played with previously. Like, that's just who he is. But for him to get to that point where he's like, dude, you got to start utilizing me. Like, I feel like that's become like the new crutch on offense where you have to call out the people running offense to get anything done for yourself.
yeah.
And I love this mentality of being selfless and playing for the team and doing what you have to do when your number's called. But at the same time, I think people get too within their own heads or too comfortable or too whatever. And you just sometimes need someone to be like, knock some shit back in your head and like, let's go with what we actually have.
I hear you. Yo, I got to jump on with Bash for a little bit. So I wanted to thank you guys for having me. Miriah, Mike,
talking to
Izzy,
you again, Sean.
Juan.
See
you guys soon. See you real soon. Enjoy this victory, guys. We get a victory Friday, which is fucking weird, but we get a victory Friday out of it, right?
John, you're going to be free next Saturday, right?
I don't know why. What's going on?
The Commanders game is on the 24th, which is this Saturday.
Oh yeah, isn't that Christmas Eve?
Yes.
Yeah, I have to try not to humiliate myself in front of guests. So I might just fucking drive away and watch it on my iPad and park somewhere. A weirdo. Just park on the side of an interstate. Park on the side of an interstate.
Look at that old white man. Alert, alert. We got an old white man watching videos in his car.
We got a weirdo dude who's actually.
What's he doing in there? Is he playing with himself in there?
Why is he standing on his car?
It's just
on the roof.
You can always just park outside Nick's house and he'll call the cops on himself.
Oh, I thought about driving through his Christmas display.
You should go steal his car.
I tried. He's got that place.
You should go steal his land.
Locked up. He's got that place locked up like Fort Knox now. He's got cameras and it's it looks like it looks like a lamb lit up, but it's actually a real hyena.
Bro. Guess how much?
I still can't.
All right.
15.
I still can't believe he called the cops on himself.
Have a good show.
Dude, Tony and I said that we could put sports on the back burner one day and just do story time with Tony and John about our experiences with Nick. And I mean, we know what kind of laughs we get out of people that see us in person when we tell these stories. So we know that they would be crazy successful on YouTube. We just know it. All right. It's been real. It's been fun.
Bye.
But it's going to be real fun because we just won the West. Later, fam.
Bye.
Peace.
The one thing I do hate about Thursday games is we don't get football for another 10, 11 days. Brilliant.
I know. Sucks. But I felt like I was overworked this week. Seriously, having a Thursday game. I felt like I was on a podcast every fucking day. I was sleeping. When I have to do those early morning podcasts, I normally don't wake up till my wife gets home from work. So 8:30, 9 o'clock. So to be on that show, with me, I have to get up and take my medication, everything. So I have to get up at like 6 o'clock to be on an 8 o'clock show. So like that's getting up hella early for me. So I'm getting like 3 hours of sleep, having to get up, be on somebody else's channel. Like mine, I can come and fuck around and say whatever I want, but I gotta be professional when I go somewhere else, you know. So like, man.
Yeah, you've been on a lot lately, or more than usual, which is awesome. But it's good.
Yep, you know, gotta try to pay the bills around here somehow. Somehow, some way.
Office is looking good, Miriah.
Thanks. It's a freaking mess over here, like that you can't see. And down here it's a mess. There's like dog beds everywhere. Like,
you know, so the one thing
you can't see it don't matter.
Yep. What were you gonna say, Swan?
I was gonna say that, you know, the one thing that is annoying. I mean, I guess it's just because it's Twitter, right? Or the one thing that's annoying about the fan base is we always want to like anoint someone so fast, right? And like we did it with Jimmy, we're doing it again with Brock. Like I'm hearing commentators like in the community saying, "Oh man, look at this throw. There's only 2 guys in the league could do this." Like I'm like, what? I mean, yeah, it was a nice play, but any NFL QB could do that. Come on. Like he made an off-schedule throw where he did a dump off. I can't remember who it was to. I think it was to like Debo or someone. I don't remember. It was in last week's game. And I'm like, bro, I mean, I understand like these content creators, like they just want to say anything just so they can get like the hype train going. But then to me, it's, I don't know. I mean, that's their thing. To me, I don't prefer it. When I see that, I'm like, oh, brother. Then you get all these wild takes all over on Twitter, like people legit believing like he's the guy. And I mean, I get it. You could be excited about him. There's no reason to say he's not the guy. But let's not anoint the guy like the king after 3 games. Like to me, it's embarrassing. Like, come on, you got to be smarter than that. Like after 30 years of watching football, I don't know how many times I've seen guys anointed early, right? And them being nothing, right? It's like you see it all the time, and it's just, I guess it's annoying on Twitter because you get these fights that happen, right? Like one guy goes, yeah, he sucks, and the other guy goes, oh, he's the best thing since whatever, right? And here I'm in the middle, like, man, you both guys are fucking idiots, man.
Bebop's about to fight you. You better shut up. So that's 3-0 for a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like what can we ask for Purdy? Like for me, right now, the rest of the season is gravy. Like to me, I will not get pissed off at Purdy the whole season. I don't care if there's a meltdown or if he melts down or nothing. I will not get pissed off at Purdy because he's done more than what I thought he would do. But that's me as a fan, right? Like that doesn't mean I'm saying you don't have the right to get pissed off at him. For me, that's how I feel, right? And if people want to feel great about Purdy, I get it. I don't have a problem with it. But if I'm being skeptical of Purdy and someone tells me, why are you being skeptical? You're such a party pooper. That's different, right? But if you're like minding on your business and you think Purdy is like Tom Brady 2.0, which I've been seeing all over the internet, like, fine, that's fine. I'm not going to say anything to you, right? But if you come back at me going, man, you're a party pooper, then there's something else. Then I'll have to touch you with some reality. But you know, that is that.
I'll just say this.
Hold on, Melissa. Okay. Steve-O says, people say pump the brakes. I say pump your own brakes. I'll ride this train. That's to you, Swan. Pump your own fucking brakes. Okay?
That's fine. It's totally fine.
I'll just say this. I am not gonna put anyone above Trey Lance because we've not seen enough of Trey Lance, but what I have seen, I'm still a believer in Trey Lance. He's still my favorite avatar on Twitter, but I've been on the Brock Purdy train, and I was back on the Brock Purdy train when it was not like a favorable thing to say when you wanted Brock Purdy, because I said that way back in like October when we lost to the Broncos and we had the pick 8. And everyone's like, no, Jimmy's the only shot we have of winning this year or getting to the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl. And I kept saying, no, we just need a spark. We just need something to give us life on offense that's outside of what 10 normally gives us. And everyone knows that nobody in this league is afraid of 10. We all know what we're going to get with 10. There's nothing new or exciting or groundbreaking or in difficult times where he's going to step up and make that play. Like, we've seen enough where it is what it is. If you get past with him, cool. If you can't, well, we're not really shocked, right? So I think it's easy to misconstrue what people say a lot of the times, and I think there's a lot of really awful things being said about this whole Brock, Jimmy, Trey things, and a lot of it's going into racial territory. But I think it's okay to say that you weren't a fan of Garoppolo, but you are a fan of the young rookies, because it's a completely different thing when an 8-year vet is making rookie mistakes, and he's making the same rookie mistakes over and over and over again, and he's derailing your team. Whereas if you make mistakes like the Chicago game or other games where Trey or Brock have looked like they struggled, it's easier to be okay with it because they're learning on the job, and it's not always the same mistake they're making. It's like the difference between when we had Josh Norman and Drake Kirkpatrick last year, and we had Diamador Lenore and Talanoa Hufanga playing this year. It's like they've done so many amazing things. You kind of get mind boggled that these guys are so young, but then when you step back, you're like, they're playing so amazing. It's like you still want to give them crap for what they're doing wrong, but at the same time, you can't help but be impressed because Emmanuel almost went down. Jimmy Ward was down for a lot of the year, and that was the plan. It was going to be Ward and Hufanga learning from Ward. And then we had to scrap that preseason week 3 in Houston when we brought in to Sean Gibson, and we had to struggle all year long to try to fill in that nickel, and it's just like all these things, and it's a really amazing thing to see that however you see things, we've stood together this year and we've overcome, and there's hope. And so whoever you choose to believe in or hope for, or how you see things, whether you think someone's on a decline or not, we can all misconstrue each other, because sometimes when you write things, you see it through the lens of how you would see it coming at you, and it may not be coming at you that way at all. So it's a great team victory, and I'm really proud of this team and how they've stayed together.
What was funny was that when Brock Purdy was drafted, the first thing I thought of was, finally, that is the nail in the coffin for Jimmy G, right? And then, of course, when we see Jimmy G come back, and it's like, God damn, we cannot get rid of this guy. This guy's like old luggage, man. You can't get rid of this dude. And then all of a sudden, now here we are at, clinched the division with Brock Purdy, and it definitely is. I mean, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say it because 4 months from now, you're going to see Jimmy's out. Oh, they're thinking about bringing back Jimmy.
I'll be on here fucking crying.
Dude, it's like I don't want to jinx it anymore. It's like I've been so bad on what Jimmy's gonna do or what we're gonna do with Jimmy that I've lost the right to predict anymore what's gonna happen with Jimmy. But
you know what it feels like, Swan Song? I don't know if anyone else saw this, but I haven't been on Twitter much because I've been really ill. But I logged on today and yesterday because I was trying to catch up on what Mariah's been up to. And I saw someone post a video of Jordan Matthews 5 months after his ACL tear. And it was one of the Niner players I follow was tweeting about it. And I'm like, this guy never goes away. It feels like that with so many of these guys. Like, you want to be fans of whoever's on your favorite team, but there's just certain guys that you're just like, please just go away.
That's how I felt about Sanu the last freaking however years. Like, man, like we have all these young guys, and you're telling me they can't get out there and catch some balls. Like, we got to have this old ass guy out there. Like, shit.
Tevin Coleman.
Yeah. Like, we're pulling up Tevin Coleman from the practice squad, and yeah, he ain't getting no carries, but you got TDP just sitting there. Like, what is the fucking deal? Like, I don't get it. Like, you have all these young players that just sit there and rot away while you're playing these freaking scrubs. Like,
it was the same thing like last year.
Did they really need to run McCaffrey 26 times to this game? Like, bro, give the poor dude a rest, bro. Like, come on.
His legs falling off, and he's still out there running while we got
like
2 rookies there, healthy as to be. Like, what the hell?
Mason goes in there, gets 2 to 3 carries at the end of the game, runs for 50, almost takes it to the house.
I don't know. It feels a lot like last year where we went and got 2 guys in the draft, in Deontay Lenore and Ambry Thomas, and it felt like no matter what they did right or wrong, Kyle just didn't want to give it over to the rookies.
Yep. And I think we've seen that for the last how many years with Kyle, you know? Like, this is the same old thing that happens every single year, it feels like.
I mean, the one thing I give it up to what I love about the Niners is that the way that they've been built, right? As far as like the whole, you know, one of their pillars, right, is high character guys, right, that are hardworking, that will play hard, right?
Yep.
Like, that has kept this team so resilient because we are still last in the league, or right up there with last in the league. We have to be last in the league now with injuries. We're on our 3rd string quarterback, and we just are the first team in NFL to clinch a division.
Yeah,
are you
crazy.
Freaking kidding me? Like, on our 3rd string quarterback, and we had a 2nd string quarterback who didn't have camp, and then does all those things. But you got to give it up for this defense throughout this whole thing. Throughout this whole thing, this defense has been the glue that's been able for the team to ride it out. Because tell me this. If we played like a high-powered offense, right, in this game, it could have looked a lot scarier.
Don't put that out there, please.
It could have looked a lot scarier than you know. Of course, it never really got scary in this game, but I mean, the D is always just, they give up nothing. Like what? Okay, Seattle got 200 yards passing, 70 yards rushing, right? And God, they looked so anemic. Like, in the times that they scored, it almost was like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's not sustainable, right? Mm-hmm. And this defense does it. Like, you might score on this defense, but it's not sustained drives after drives after drives, unless you're Pat Mahomes and KC, right? Which to me, that's the scariest team. Of course, I want the Niners to beat them, but I can't stand that KC they tore my heart out in week, whatever it was, 6 or 7 or whatever it was.
That game was also different because, I mean, everybody was coming back early off injury. Like, you had Charvarius Ward, I believe, with concussion. You had Nick Bosa with the groin injury. You had so many guys rushing back.
First game back. And then CMC's first
Chiefs
game.
And I think they battled hard for so long, and then just at the end of it, they were so banged up, and the game felt so impossible to come back in. Then that's when it got to that horrible point where it was like 44 to whatever it ended up being, because the team was just like, you know what, we can't do it anymore. Like, it finally got to that point where you had to either choose to kill yourselves trying to make it a less of a blowout by statistical points and everything, or just let it go and move on to the next week and get healthy and come back for the next opponent. And that's what they've done. And I don't think we've given up more than 13 points since then in any game. Like, that was a huge defining moment for this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, yeah, we mentioned that we have the Redskins, right? Or I mean the Commanders. Sorry, we have the Commanders, we have the Raiders, and we have the Cardinals, right? The Redskins could be any one of those games could be a tough game. You never know, right? But there's also a chance that we might not get tested again until the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
And of course, we're gonna see. I think, man, I was telling my son, I was like, the Eagles are kind of scary just because they have a running quarterback, and we've been giving up a lot of yards to running quarterbacks when on 3rd and longs, and they're gashing us. Like today, it happened again. It happened with the Falcons game, right? And then this game, it happened. I'm like, oh my God, are we gonna really? Was it like 3rd and 15 or something? And he runs for like 18 yards or whatever it was. So that should be an interesting game. If we face the Eagles at some point. But I think the Vikings could be had. There's no other team that I'm really that scared of in the NFC. I think the Vikings and Dallas have issues. Eagles are looking pretty good, but I think we can beat them too, right? The only scary teams to me in the AFC would be the Bills and the Chiefs.
You're forgetting Cincinnati.
I'm not really that scared of Cincinnati. Really not.
Cincinnati was winning important games without Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. That makes them very scary.
Maybe because we beat them last year. Maybe that's why I'm not that scared of them.
See you later, Eric. Thank you again for stopping by and coming on the show after a loss, especially.
Enjoy the win.
Gosh, imagine how this. So how's Demo been doing? I know that he's been getting great PFF grades. I don't see a lot of pass breakups from him, but I know that he has a high PFF grade. But God, imagine this defense if it still had Mosley. Oh my God, that is scary.
I think
so. Christy's saying Tyler Lockett broke his finger. He's going to have surgery and will be out multiple games. So that's definitely a loss for the Seahawks, man.
Yeah, I think.
Who's even their other wide receivers besides DK and Lockett? I don't even know.
I don't even know.
Goodwin.
Yeah, Goodwin. He had a couple catches tonight, and they're pretty much done anyways. They have to play KC next week at KC.
Oh shit!
Like, good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. Like, they're done. Like, because, like, okay, you're gonna have an outright leader. Regardless if the Giants or the Commanders lose, they're still going to be a half a game ahead of the Seahawks. Like, regardless because they play each other next week, right? So you're going to have one team that's 1.5 games up, and you're going to have a team that's half a game up. And then the Seahawks have to play KC.
I don't know about that, because the last time I thought one of them was definitely going to win, and they both tied, so.
Well, they can tie again. They'll still be both leading the Seahawks. Even if they'll be 7-6-2, and the Seahawks are what? 6-7 or 6-6?
Everybody got your numbers in? I'm gonna draw.
I think they're 7-7.
Oh, 7-7. Yeah. So then, if they get a tie, they'll be if the Giants and the Commanders get a tie, they'll be 7-6-2.
Did anyone pick out the number 38?
Let me see. Nope.
Well,
I want 38 then, because somebody just brought up DeAndre Jordan, and I want to talk about him because that's one of my favorites.
Okay, so there's 38. That's Melissa's number.
My adrenaline has died, so it's time for me to go because I got to get up in like 5 hours.
All right, Mike. I appreciate you stopping on.
Mike.
Take it easy, Mike.
Later.
All right, so you asked about DeAndre Lerner. He had his first pick, I believe. What was that? 2 weeks ago, or was that last week, Miriah?
I think 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so he just had his first official interception. He would have had another one today, but then they called that Bosa penalty.
I'm so pissed about that.
You know what the most impressive part about DeAndre Lenoir's game for me is, though? When he was first pushed into the spotlight of
my God.
No way, really? It actually went right on 38.
And this is what you get.
Oh my goodness. Did I actually
Congrats.
get Tiana Lenore? Because it actually was 38.
Nice.
And these were the 2 cards that were being given away, Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. So congrats, you get out 3.
Okay. I'm gonna really try to not like sneeze all over and blast everyone's ears out. Okay. Wow, I just
Hold
lost my
on,
train
let me
of
play
thought.
you the video. Hold on.
That's crazy.
So
Okay,
Danny
okay.
Gray is taking that place. So next time we have somebody guess the number exactly right, you'll get a Danny Gray autograph
Oh,
card.
goodness. Okay. I was
Congrats.
talking about Tiana Lenore. Okay, so when he was first pushed outside again, right? This year after Mania mostly went down, he was playing against Tyler Higbee, and you saw him struggle, right? Because he's not as tall or thickly built as some of these guys. So he was getting run over by these bigger tight ends. And I think what's impressed me the most is that you've seen him play outside before, but he's taken whatever struggle he's had this year, and he's really worked down and try to lock down on all his problem areas. And I feel like it's the same thing with Dre Greenlaw this year. I feel like whatever issues the team or the faithful or anyone's had with them, they've like not taken it so much to heart, but they've taken it as like a challenge, and they've worked hard to step up to that challenge. And that's what's impressed me the most about them, because I feel like they've really answered the call of that next man mentality. So
Yeah.
that's what's most impressed me. And he has really good hands when it comes to actually catching the ball, because I think a lot of guys on the team have hands, but it always feels like it's a 50-50 or 75-20% chance that they'll actually grab it and then hold on to it and make a catch. Even like Fred Warner, who you've seen in the past have amazing hands, and whenever he had hands on the ball before, you felt like it was always going to be pick. Now you're like, is he really going to have it or not? And I feel like even Dre Greenlaw's interception last week, like he tipped the ball and he's like, no, I'm going to make sure I'm going to have this ball. I'm going to tip it to myself and then still make an athletic move on this because I want that Tom Brady ball. Like, there's just something about these guys that they have a fire in them that I don't think anyone can squelch it at this point. And as a defensive fan, that's what makes watching these guys so much fun.
I agree 100% with everything you just said. Let's do another giveaway. Enter those numbers.
I promise you I'm not picking any more numbers after that. That was just crazy.
It's
Like,
crazy
how many
that it was
weeks?
that number too.
Like how many weeks have I been like picking randomly 38, and it's always like around 42 or 44, and then T's like, oh look, it's the juice number, and I'm like, please don't be juice, please don't be juice, and then it was like someone there to steal away the juice number.
Man, I wanted Bosa to get. I thought Bosa could have had 3 sacks today. Like, he was so close on some of
he was
them.
like a finger away.
Yeah, man. I just want him to get that deep defensive player of the year. Like, okay. I was like, man, he was so close to getting 3.
So
today.
he had 1 official sack today, right?
Right.
Yeah.
1. 3 QB hits.
So now my question to you guys is this. Do you feel, and maybe it's just me, but do you feel that there's been some pressure from the over high ups, like the owners or whatever, to shut down Bosa's sack streak? Because, no. Or to not further his campaign over Micah Parsons? Because it felt to me like this week and last week, maybe it is just me, but it felt like some of the calls were more late, or like they gave the quarterback a little bit more time so that way they could throw away the ball once they had arms around the player or the quarterback or whatever, so that way they didn't have to call it a sack. Or it felt like a few intentional grounding calls that would have been called before were not called intentional grounding, just so that way Bosa or whomever could not have a sack. It felt like, maybe it's a conspiracy nut in me, but it felt like it's this thing where they really don't want anyone to break Strahan or TJ Watt's record, or they just really don't want like Nick Bosa of all people to be Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year.
No, well, I don't think that. As far as that, I do think that you're onto something as far as what the national media wants to win it, and I think that is probably Micah Parsons. But did you hear Sherman after the game? I love Sherman. He was like, he should be like he said something about like, he should get Defensive Player of the Year most likely. He said that, which was cool because he's like, propping up his former teammate. That was dope. But I like how Sherman does that. How he always gives love to his former teammates. Yeah. And like he's always wanting to help their career in some way. Like I dig that. Besides Russell Wilson, but you know why he does that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
You know why he does that. But the thing is, yeah, I don't think it goes that deep in what you're saying. But I think there is favoritism to Micah Parsons for sure.
And the Cowboys is in a hole.
Yeah, and the Cowboys, yeah. I mean, you can always talk about it, and then people always get geeked up by something new, right? And Micah Parsons is new, meaning that you never had a middle linebacker that could go edge and was asked to play edge and then just totally excel at it, right? So that's never really happened. Like, that's what's cool about Micah Parsons. But at the end of the day, it's still that pass rusher on the line like Bosa that is going to me, make a bigger impact on a game. And I think, Nick, this defense is great. Like, this is a great defense, and it all starts with Bosa because he makes everyone better. He literally makes every player on that defense better. And since this is a team sport, it makes the offense better as well, right? Because how many times then can this offense sputter and they get the ball back?
Yeah.
They always get the ball back, Mm-hmm. And like I mean, outside of, like I said, like the KC game, which, such an ugly game. But outside of that game, it's like I've always, like, this defense always, which was funny because that offense actually played better than the defense in that game, in that KC game. But that was like the only time, like the whole time it's been the defense carrying this offense, right? And
I mean, and what teams don't struggle against Mahomes and Kansas City, so
and then we were right. We were out as, like, it was the first time the team has played as a team, right? Like, because we got like 4 guys back on the defense, and they're probably not totally 100%, and then they're coming back and they got freaking Mahomes, so the thing is, I think what's good about this team also, in its character, what I mentioned earlier, is that there's certain things about a team when you have it too good, you start getting complacent, right? And this team, they never can be complacent because it's either an injury that happens or people that stay injured. This team is always having to worry about something, right? This team is always having to know that, hey, we have to ball out to win this game, right? Because they can never be too comfortable. And I think that's what is a good thing, because sometimes when you get on the team where the offense is doing really great, then the defense could kind of be like, you know what? We could chill a little bit because we know our offense is going to score. You know what I mean? Where this defense is like, dude, we got to bring it like all the time.
Well, Swan, I hope you're correct, but I just feel, especially after last year, it's not
22.
Unwarranted. It's not unwarranted because last year Bosa came off a horrendous ACL tear at MetLife Stadium, which is finally being torn up this January, which cannot come fast enough, in my opinion. And yes, I am hating on my own home state because that field is trash. But he had a legit case in any metric that you can think of outside of Niner fandom, where he could have been up for comeback player of the year and defensive player of the year last year for 15.5 sacks and the overall impact that he had coming off that huge injury. And he didn't get a single vote in either category last year. So maybe it's the fan in me, but I think there's a real bias against him.
Oh, there is. There's definitely.
And
That's why I wanted him to get, like, he has. In other words, if the numbers stay the way that there are now, he's probably not going to win it. He has to go out and be like, it has to be like crazy, and that's why I wanted. Better. Yeah, significantly better, and that's why I wanted him to get like 3 sacks tonight and just make it where the voters are like, okay, we can't do it because it'll look too bad. Right, it'll look way too bad, right?
And I also think that's also why I got so angry he didn't make either the Pro Bowl or All-Pro last year, and they gave it to Max Crosby because I felt like
he was a Pro Bowler. He just wasn't All-Pro. He was second-team All-Pro.
It drove me crazy because there's no way that Nick Bosa should still be called Joey Bosa at this point in his career.
Crazy.
When he's better than his brother.
He's better than his brother.
Nobody should be calling Kyle Shanahan at this point Mike Shanahan, and they keep.
I still hear Deebo Samuels. I hear Deebo Samuels.
Yes,
Deebo Samuels and George Kittles.
Yeah,
I actually heard George Kittles.
That shit.
Like, I heard someone trying to give Juwan Jennings credit one time on a national television set, and instead of calling him Juwan Jennings, they called him Juwan Johnson, and they're like, "How do you put those names together?" And then I was like, "Oh, there's a Juwan Johnson on the Saints, so you called him a Saints player, and they have nothing to do with each other. It's just like not same position. One's a tight end, one's a wide receiver. It's just like
so ridiculous." And these people get paid millions of fucking dollars, you know.
And they keep saying it's an East Coast bias, but I live on the East Coast. And even teams like I'm not a fan of, I still respect them enough to get their names right, or to say them by the proper name, at least number and first name. If I can't pronounce their last name, because some people have some weird ass last names. But it's crazy the way that these people keep personally Myles Garrett literally swung a helmet at a guy's head. And every year he's a defensive player of the year favorite.
Yeah, with Bosa, you know why it's with Bosa.
Aaron Donald took 2 to 3 helmets this preseason and swung them at multiple Bengal players' heads. And the entire league turned their backs on it and tried to pretend like it never happened. It's just when people have a bias, it's just it's hard to get past it, you know? So it makes me laugh when someone like Micah Parsons or an Aaron Donald, when one of these guys tries to complain about being chokehold or being double teamed or chip blocked, and I'm like, you guys know that this is what Nick Bosa's entire career has been since day one, right? That Tampa game where he was chip blocked by 3 to 4 guys every single play because they were so scared of him. His very first performance ever because he didn't play that preseason. It baffles me. Off the field issues is one thing, but to not give proper due to what's on the field, I don't understand what it is with certain Niner players where they just you're not the favorite, Bosa, so
it's the tweet. It's that his girlfriend.
No. I know what you're alluding to. I'm just saying, I don't want to go down that train, but I'm just saying, there are actual wife beaters in this league. There are people who've done damage to children, who've done damage to spouses, family members, who've beaten down doors, who have attacked refs, who've attacked cops, who've gone out during COVID and put not only their teammates, their families, and the families of all those people at risk by partying without masks in a lockdown type era. It's just like I don't. It sickens me in my stomach the way they can hold on to a grudge with one player, but everybody else is just scot-free to do whatever, and yet you still have to hear constantly how great they are as a person, as a human being, and as a player.
Yeah, the thing about it is it's all the people that we don't, because I think national media gives him his props for sure. Like there's no games where they don't mention Nick Bosa, right, and how dominant he is, right? The announcers do, but those are not all the people with the votes, right? There's a lot of people that we don't know of that are just column writers for newspapers and things like that, and they have their own agenda, their personal own agenda. And to me, I was always skeptical of Bosa. As when I saw that thing, I was like, and then I was like, you know what? After seeing that this girl was like 13 when she was writing these things, like, dude, kids do stupid ass shit, right? Like, whatever, 13, right? And then on top of that, the one thing how Bosa won me over as a person, right, or as a teammate, for the other Niners is when he went against his beliefs 2 training camps ago. Was it? Yeah, 2 training camps ago in the 2021 training camp, where we all knew that he did not want to get the COVID shot. His whole family was against it, blah, blah, blah. His beliefs. I don't even think his brother did it, right? But then he ended up doing it for the team. And I thought that was cool because he didn't have to, right? If he could have stayed strong with his beliefs, but he did it because he knew it was the best thing for the team, right? And at that point, I was like, dude, that's cool. Because, hey, you can have your own beliefs, and I'll respect them, right? But when you put aside your beliefs for the team, in that sense, I was like, dude, bravo. Like, that made me respect him even more, right? Like, if you can have your beliefs, but you go for a common good of like a team, then that tells me all I need to know about Bosa, because I don't care about, I mean, they all can have their private lives, right? That's none of our business. But as far as for me as a fan, as of the team, when he did that, I was like, yeah, dude, this dude is a great teammate. And you could tell this year he's been trying to be a lot more vocal and, you know, and a lot more of a team guy, even though he's very low key and stuff like that. But you can tell he stepped up as being a kind of like a silent leader in a way. And I think what's funny is that he's normally a guy that he's an introverted guy, what it seems like, right? But you can tell through all the mic'd up things and all the things like when he's mic'd up with other players around him that
he has a personality.
He has a personality and he wants to be a good teammate with all these guys, right? Like he goes out of his way to do it, even though I bet you in his mind, like all he thinks about is one thing, right? His job, right? But then that he goes, you know, and tries to connect with people. And sometimes it's awkward, but it's always in a good nature, right? But so I think that's why I dig that dude a lot. Like, and I think he's the best player on the team. Like, there's no question about it to me that he's the best player on the team.
I think he's just an introvert. I just think he's a naturally, like, I'm not going to be a showboat. I'm just going to let my actions speak for me. And with people I'm comfortable with, I'll let my personality, like, shine. But that's it. Because even in, like, all the different mic depths, and I've seen a lot of them throughout the years. So, like, during that playoff run, you saw him, like, with D Ford and Arik Armstead, and you'd see, like, little glimpses of it where he was, like, jumping up and down, or he had his, like, little moments. But then you saw the moments in, like, week 5 with Richard Sherman, where Richard Sherman is a naturally...
That's where I first saw that.
Outgoing person, and he's, like, making fun of Sherman, and he's going, you ever see those Ice Age movies? You ever see that little squirrel? You're that little squirrel with a nut. And, like, Sherman just, like, breaks out in that peal of laughter. Like, so moments like that with Nick Bosa, you've seen like glimpses of it all along. And I think what's astounding about this year is that, I think a lot of people, whether you're a fan of him or not, whether you have a bias against him or not, a lot of people were thrown when he was made captain this year, when a lot of people wanted Kyle Juszczyk or others to be given that seat. And I feel like ever since that first story broke out where Javon Kinlaw came to him in the offseason and was like, dude, how do you stay so healthy? How did you come back from this ACL tear? How do you stay so limber and you can do all these crazy bends? And the way that Nick Bosa helped him out with his diet and helped him out getting into that best shape of his life and to not so be beheld by his knees at the beginning of the year. I think little moments like that gave him the confidence to break out and shine. I think when you're a younger sibling like that and your brother has such a big personality, you naturally kind of fall in their shadow and you don't try to outshine your brother. And I also think that Joey has had this thing with the press where he has gotten in trouble for shouting his mouth out to the refs and the committees by pointing out like chokeholds and other stuff that happens to defense players these days, where then Joey would get attacked in the media. And I think all of these things all combined have made Nick the reserved personality that we see at pressers, but I think around his teammates he lets his guard down. And he's learned to be his own kind of leader.
Real quick before you guys get going again. Congrats, Tia. She won the last giveaway. This is what you won. So I can stop holding this in my hand for the last 20 minutes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Tia.
And the defense has looked different with Armstead back in the lineup. Like the defense is like with but Armstead's always getting that push. He always commands a double team. Like he gets his push, like he just collapses the middle of that defense, man. It's like this defense is legit. Like legit. Like the only weakness I see is somewhat of a weakness is just a big body DT, but Ty McGill or whatever his name is, he came in and did it today. And we're gonna get Kinlaw back. I just hope and pray that Kinlaw can come back and stay back. Like I just hope that he doesn't have any more setbacks along the way, and that he can just play. Like I don't even need him to pop off the page. I just want him just to be, that dominant force in the center that he's immovable. I don't care if he provides a pass rush, just so he can clog up some of the rushing lanes, and most importantly, if he can just stay healthy. Because if he doesn't stay healthy again, then I mean, of course, I think he's still under contract, right? But is he still under contract?
Yeah.
Is this, his 5th-year option? Like, I don't know if they'll exercise a 5th-year option on him, but he still has one more year, right? Because he was 220. Yeah. So we'll have him for sure for next year. But I just hope he can finish this season in one piece.
So, Miriah, I have to ask you, do you think we've seen the last of Ross Boss?
Yes. I didn't even want him to make the team to begin with.
Okay.
Who caught that pass today? Was that Croft?
Yeah.
Yep. I cannot tell you how much I love that Charlie Horner and Tyler Croft have finally proven to the scene that we can move on from Ross Dwelly and his supposed golden hands. And I will never have to see this guy cost huge holding calls on special teams ever again. ever again.
Yeah.
Do we see McGlinchey? That's the question. Are we going to see McGlinchey next year?
I hope not. I'd prefer not to see him for the rest of the season, but We need somebody there right now. So. Man.
Oh my goodness. All right, so Miriah, who has surprised you most this year?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know you're saving a lot for when T's back, but we need some kind of talk out of you today.
I would say I mean, for somebody that wasn't, hasn't been on the team, whatever, the person I'm surprised with, honestly, is Gibson. Because when Ward went down, when Jimmy went down, we were all like, oh shit, what are we going to do now? Like we were expecting that to be Ward and Huff. And like you said earlier, Huff learning from Ward, and now he's down. And we're like, shit, what are we going to do? They're pulling this guy off his freaking couch, that had been decent in the past, but he's still old. He wasn't on a team. You're not on a team for a reason at that age. And so for him to come in and pretty much play so good that they can't even give Jimmy Ward his spot back, that's hella surprising to me.
So what do you think of Brandon? Has he lived up to all you built him up to this year?
Well, no, because he was supposed to have a season with Trey Lance, not with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
So as soon as Trey Lance went down, there went my hope for freaking Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Brandon is with Jimmy.
Yeah, and I think Brandon has done everything that he could too.
Okay.
I mean, he had that drop today, but he's the most sured hands. He wins on all his routes. He practically wins on every route that he runs. It's not his fault that, the quarterback position has been what it is, right?
Okay, so I have a follow-up question then. Which all Yak Brothers touchdown game was more impressive to you? The Miami, the Jaguar game last year, or the Arizona game in Mexico this year where Brandon had 2 touchdowns?
Oh, this Mexico game, easily. And the fact that it was in Mexico, like everything, the stage was just set.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be Arizona's home game, and it was full of 49ers fans in there. Like, it was just the perfect setting against a shitty division opponent.
Yeah, my 2 players, I one on offense and JDL, I just said it, and it's definitely Aaron Banks. Like we left, everyone was mad at Aaron Banks last year. Everyone. There's one.
I wasn't. I always thought he was supposed to play with Trey Lance.
Yeah,
so I was always under the impression this was his year.
Okay,
yeah, so it's like
I will admit again for the bajillionth time that I was uber sour about Aaron Banks, specifically because I had my heart set on Creed Humphrey. I thought with the way Kyle loves these weird, versatile guys, and he loves shoving guys all over the line and all this stuff, and I thought we had the golden opportunity. He was still on the board. Creed Humphrey was perfect. We wouldn't have to be shoving a Solomon Thomas or an Arik Armstead or a Colton McKivitz or Jalen Moore or any of these other guys and pre-pass the Aaron Banks pick to flip sides, change their weight, change everything that they've done about their game. Creed just had a natural affinity for playing all the right guard, left guard, center positions in the middle of the line. So I was really hurt that not only did we pass up on him, but we passed up on him. He went to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then we got Aaron Banks. And I didn't have an issue with Aaron Banks specifically until I heard that he went to Notre Dame and that Mike McGlinchey, of all players, was in the draft room that day and told Kyle and John
pounding the table for him
that they should go for his Notre Dame teammate. And when that was the story, and then we saw the play that he had that year after that, I was so angry. I could not see past the red in my eyes. And then this year happened. I was like, okay, so the only one we have right now is Trent Williams locked down, and we have no idea what's going on in the other 4 positions. So this year, I try to look past my anger, and I will pleasantly say that I was dead wrong. He's really stepped up. He's had a few games where he struggled, I think, against Tampa and Miami, or it might have been Miami and somebody else. Either way, Aaron Banks has really stepped up this year, and I am grateful he is here, but I am still not happy the way he did come here, because Mike McGlinchey, you are still a thorn in my side, and I wish nothing but you to get the hell out of the bag.
Yeah, I don't like Mike McGlinchey. Although I have a feeling they're gonna keep him, but we'll see. We'll just hope that someone outbids the Niners, right, in free agency. I just hope, because I know if they can bring him back at a reasonable price, they will. We just hope that there's another team out there that's gonna do the Lincoln Tomlinson thing and just, like, of course I didn't like Lincoln leaving though, but I knew they couldn't afford him though. I knew that they weren't going to pay whatever the Jets paid for him. Like, Jets overpaid for him. And like, if you look at Lincoln's PFF grades, which only the thing that I can go off of is he's not having a very good year. And then
so that was your offensive player. Who's your defensive player?
The defensive player, it's got to be the surprising player, right? It's got to be Hufanga. It's Hufanga for sure. Like, I can't.
Surprised.
Yeah.
I expected it.
You're not feeling Hufanga, Miriah?
Yeah, but I knew he was going to be good. I'm not surprised.
Oh yes. Oh, I see.
No. She's not lying, because Maria's one of those first people I went to last year, and I was talking to her nonstop, which I do way too often. And we were talking about all the late round gems that we were so in love with what we saw and just wouldn't get play time. So it didn't make sense to us that Tart was playing more often than Hufanga, and we saw it in so many flashes last year, whether it was the Colts game and the torrential downpour, or on where Huff shined so bright. Like, I was like, why isn't he shining more? It was like this year where you saw Spencer Burford played so well, and then he struggled one or a couple series against Aaron Donald, and it felt like they were punishing him for struggling against one of the best defenders in the entire league. So for us to not be shocked about Hufanga is not an indictment against Hufanga. It's just we thought that's what he would be without the competition of Tart there to eat up some of the snaps now.
Yeah, I mean, he's far. I didn't ever root against, or I didn't ever think he was bad or whatever. I just I didn't think he was gonna have this type of impact. It's like right off of week 1, I was like, oh my god, dude, Hufanga is everywhere. I remember I was in Vegas, right, and I was watching it with a bunch of my friends, right, who are all fans of different teams, right, and they're like, who's that kid, dude? He's all over. I go, dude, that's Hufanga, dude. Like, he's aggressive, right? And I told him that, I gave him the whole lore of him training with Palomalu and this and that, and the one thing that people are worried is how he's going to play in coverage, but he's really good coming down on the ball, coming down to the line of scrimmage and things like that. And then he's just kept that up the whole year, right? Like, to me, what sucks about the Chicago game is that the defense lost that game for them. Like
that was an entire team loss. Because it was so many penalties on both sides of the ball.
Right. The team. Yeah, you're right. The team. I put it on the defense just because that was out of character for them to lose it. And then, of course, Debo didn't help by that fumble on it was like the second drive or the first drive. Like, come on, that was like going to be Trey's first drive, and it was like, dude, this is going awesome. And then Debo fumbles at the freaking 6-yard line. I'm like, oh, brother. And then what sucked was that the Bears were getting nothing done on offense at all. and then we just gave it to them. We just gave them that game. Like, and then I was just like, man, out of all the, and what was bad was that because we had put all of my friends, we had put a lot of bets in, right? A lot of parlay bets, and it ended up with the Niners, right, being the one that lost it for all the cards. And I was telling them, dude, they're gonna win this game. Trust me, they're gonna cover and win this game because the way that the defense is playing, Chicago's not gonna be able to do anything. And I was right for the half. For the first half, I was right. I go, dude, trust me, they're not going to do anything on this D. And then all of a sudden, all these penalties happened, that blown, busted coverage, and I was like, oh my god.
See, Miriah, this is why I never want to play fantasy or ever do bets. Because you just never freaking know. Like at the beginning of this year, did anyone think when the Giants and the Packers went to London that the Giants would blow out the Packers and that start the Packers losing streak? Or this week be, what was it, 10-2 Vikings would be what, 7-point underdogs against the Lions, who then went ahead and destroyed them. It's just like, you really just honestly never know with these teams. Like, it can be either someone shows up, someone doesn't show up, or just somebody gets in the way of themselves. And I feel like early this year, that's what the Niners were. It's not to discredit what the Bears and the Broncos did, but it really felt like this team wasn't a team yet. You know, there was just so many new pieces and people trying to figure out their way, and not all these guys got to play together because there's some ridiculous reason this offseason we chose to do Daniel Brunskill and that guy who I don't like mentioning his name that got cut so much at center. Like, that entire line had no chemistry when they were forced into that Chicago game. But it felt like so many of those games early on, either it was a good offensive drive and someone had a false start and that would like kind of kill the momentum, or it'd be these beautiful 3-and-outs and these ridiculous holding calls where it was completely on the opposite side of the ball, opposite side of the field where the ball was going, and just someone would keep the drive alive. And these just, or like, you know, that one game where Bosa had those 2 back-to-back false start penalties. Like, you're like, come on, Nick, you've been in this league how long? How do you have 2 back-to-back false start penalties? Like, there was just so much where these guys were so, I don't know if the word's desperate, but you could kind of see like they were trying to force too much out of every opportunity, and it always went against them. And I think, I hate bringing it up again, but I really feel like that Chiefs game just chilled everything out for this team, you know?
Yep, I know. Are we done here?
So.
I'm tired.
Well, you know, I try to get you to talk, but every time I try to get you to talk, you're just like, oh, I'm just waiting for TL. I just need someone else to talk for me. And
yeah, it's getting late.
It is.
I'm procrastinating. I'm supposed to get some work done now. I said I was going to get some work done today, and then I pretty much shut off my laptop at 2:00, pretending to work for 3 hours. And then I was like, oh, you know, after the game, I'll work. And then here we are. And now I've set my alarm for 4 a.m. And yeah, that's what that's going to look like.
All right. Well, it's all the sick Jersey girls' fault for keeping everybody on. So I'll go away.
I appreciate you coming on, though, for real, especially being sick.
I wouldn't leave you hanging.
11 more days to the next
I was
week.
your first co-host. Just because I'm not your favorite co-host doesn't mean I won't be there for you.
I appreciate it. Swan, I appreciate you coming through. Chat, we appreciate you guys as always. You're the best. Congrats to all the winners. And congrats to all of us because we're all winners tonight.
Yep, NFC West champs, baby.
That's right. But like everybody's saying, we're not done yet. So
Definitely not done yet. Failed
So-
season unless we win the Super Bowl. I don't care if it's with our third string quarterback. It's still a failed season.
And a happy holidays to everyone, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, or none of the above.
Yeah. You got to celebrate something, or else you just, I don't know. You don't got to celebrate nothing on that day, but you got to celebrate something in your life. Like, geez, man, live a little. Celebrate this 49ers win and celebrate Victory Friday tomorrow. We're going to celebrate a whole victory weekend. Screw it. That's what happens when your team doesn't play on the weekend. You celebrate the whole weekend.
We should get what the final of that, that sign I showed you today. There should be a finished one tomorrow for us to look at. You should probably be mailing that off tomorrow too.
Got some cool stuff to show you.
Oh, all right. We'll click again.
All right. See you. Thanks for having us.
Look. It's up on the wall.
Nice.
Do you see the little towel underneath
there.
it? Yes, I do. But I thought you would appreciate that I put a Divas Den towel underneath your sign.
Nice. All right, everybody. We're out of here. We'll see you sometime this week. I don't know when.
Nice to chill with you, Bebop. Thank you for staying.
Bebop's the best. All right. Love y'all. Stay safe and stay faithful. We're out of here.